Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Do you have another case?
Yes, I have one more. We're going to look at the consent order for Dr. Axel Franz Kurt Grothey. I'll give you an opportunity to locate it, and I will ask if there are any conflicts. Okay, hearing no conflicts, we shall begin. We're on page 2. The respondent obtained his medical license from the board on February 6, 2019. His license is currently set to expire on September 30th, 2020. On or about March 14th, 2020, the Minnesota Board of Medical Practice entered into an order with the respondent, which reprimanded his license and required him to take a course in professional boundaries and ethics and assessed a $10,316.90 civil penalty. The discipline against the respondent's medical license in Minnesota stemmed from the respondent engaging in sexual relationships with 2 colleague mentees. When one of the sexual relationships began, the mentee was a fellow at the hospital where the respondent worked. After finding the pattern, and I quote, the pattern of conduct demonstrated a failure on his part to establish and maintain appropriate professional boundaries with people who viewed him as a mentor, end quote. The employment committee recommended termination. The respondent subsequently resigned. The respondent did submit documentation demonstrating that on May 13th through the 15th of 2020, he did attend via Zoom a 3-day professional development course entitled Maintaining Proper Boundaries at Vanderbilt University Center. The grounds for discipline are located on paragraph 5, which is the unprofessional, dishonorable, or unethical conduct, as well as 636214B20, which is disciplinary action against a person licensed to practice medicine by another state for acts or omission that would constitute grounds for discipline if those acts were committed in Tennessee. The order that we're proposing, you'll see on paragraph 7, we are asking that his license be reprimanded effective the date of entry of this order, and that any continuing medical education course hours that he earned from completing the course mentioned in paragraph 4 shall be in addition to the CME hours required to maintain licensure. He should pay the costs associated with prosecuting this matter not to exceed $2,000. And he understands that this is a formal disciplinary action and will be reported to the National Practitioner Data Bank. As you will see on paragraph 6, he has signed this order as well as he was represented by counsel. His attorney signed the order as well. And we do ask that you ratify this order. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Morgan, again, for another well-prepared and presented document. I am wondering if there are any questions, or we will entertain a motion. I do not see any hands up. I see Dr. Lloyd raising his finger.
I would say something.
Okay, go ahead then, Dr. Lloyd, after you. How about that? Go ahead, Dr. Christensen.
I just want to point out that this was somebody that came before us and was granted a license under a declaratory order. So they were looked at a lot closer, and not that we could have known, but obviously some of this was going on when we were looking at people's accolades to grant this gentleman a license.
All right. When was that declaratory order, Dr. Christensen? Do you remember?
It was in January the 23rd of 2019 at our board meeting. Because I recognized the name and I went back and looked.
Okay, and was this someone that had exceptional qualifications? Was that the?
Supposedly they were at Mayo and that sort of thing. So anyway, it just, it's not that we can do anything about it, but it does, I guess bring to mind that when we grant license, we need to continue to scrutinize and look and that sort of thing.
That was a good pickup, Dr. Christensen. And let me get Dr. Lloyd, then Dr. Beckford.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Johnson. Thanks again, Ms. Morgan. Ms. Morgan, I have a couple of questions about our physician here, respondent here. Did you say there were 2 instances of this? Did you say, I thought I heard 2 mentees, not just one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's on paragraph 3 for those that want to follow along.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm trying to look at the documents on my phone, and for some reason that one was blank. It's my phone's fault. I'm sure it's not the cloud's fault. But just a couple more questions around this. So this is in Minnesota. These are 2 mentees of his, and then he took the professional boundaries course, but I don't know, was there any mention of having him looked at by the physician's health program? That's not once, it's twice. That's my concern.
This occurred in Minnesota, and that's not a part of what they required him to do.
Okay.
Reprimanded the license, and then essentially we are in essence mirroring that discipline. Obviously, the civil penalties are not as high, and he's already taken the professional boundaries course, so that's why I'm not requiring him to do that again.
Sure.
But no, they didn't require him to go and get that type of assessment.
And so he's practicing in Tennessee now, is that correct?
I'm not sure where he's actually practicing. They only reprimanded his license, so he could still be practicing in Minnesota. But he also has a license here. So your statute, B20, 63-6-214 B20, allows you to institute discipline when your licensees have been disciplined in another state for an act or omission that had they committed here, they could also be disciplined for.
Right. I love that part. The part that concerns me is that these are really tough when you get into these sexual boundary cases, particularly where you have a case where you have somebody in a superior position. And I mean, we don't have to look far in society to see that, Dr. Nasser at Michigan State, jumps to my forebrain. So I guess my concern is I'm extremely fine with us mirroring what Minnesota has done, but it doesn't look like that they've followed all the way through and got an evaluation of our doc here for any kind of sexual issues. That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. Dr. Beckford, then Dr. Saunders.
I resolved the question. Dr. Grothey is practicing in Memphis. He's at the West Clinic. And to Dr. Lloyd, it's not only you, because those documents didn't pull up on my laptop either.
Mine either.
Okay, that's important. Dr. Saunders?
The documents are pulling up on my laptop perfectly. If you are not on the link that Brandy sent you last night, please take a look at your email. You received a link to the board materials at 5 p.m. or so. And if you'll just try clicking on that 10Cloud link and using the same access password, you should be able to see everything you need to see for today's meeting. Regarding Dr. Lloyd's comments, Dr. Lloyd, going forward, or any other members of the board, would you like to see some language in orders that bear some similarity to this regarding a referral to the TMS? So that's my first question. And Dr. Christensen, regarding your comments, when you all see a physician for a declaratory order case, I think you all are measuring that person on their professional merits and could not possibly know what types of pathologies, personality pathologies that a physician may have. So I want to let you all off the hook on that. If there's any thought that you shouldn't have issued this gentleman a license by declaratory order because you could not have known that he either did or did not have some sort of personality pathology that heralded the fact that this would have happened.
Thank you, Dr. Saunders. That is reassuring and encouraging. But as we all know, it's part of the package. We just sometimes don't have all that information or don't have the foresight to know all that. But I do appreciate you pointing that out. That's very helpful. I have logged into the link that was sent last night, and I'm not sure. Is it on a different tab, or is it the same tab that's been added to it? Where are those extra documents?
So the tab that she sent you all last night, again, was sent at 5 or so. Let's see if I can find it. Looks like, 5:08 p.m. And if you just click on that, should allow you to put the same password in as yesterday. What I come up with is the heading Development Committee. And then items reviewed, office-based surgery, agenda July 28, 29, agenda day 2, July 29, and then it goes on with OBS rule change, and now you have all the tabs for everyone that is in consideration for your orders this morning.
So
Again,
tab 8.3.
Just FYI, Renee, I downloaded that and opened it up, and everything else opens except Dr. Grothey's documentation. So whatever.
So if you go back to the link and rather than download it, just try to look at it, does it still not open for you?
Still doesn't open.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Well, I can't explain that because it's opening.
Yeah, mine opens, but
Yeah, I think unless you time out, that would be the only other explanation is if the.
But everything else seems to work. Everything else seems to work. So I think we can just move on, really.
Okay. All right.
Could be able to.
I would make a motion to accept this order.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have Dr. Christensen is making a motion, and I've heard several, but I'll pick Dr. Beckford to be the second. Discussion, Dr. Handorf, you have your hand up?
I do. First of all, in response to Dr. Saunders' question, I think my answer would be yes, we would like to see the TMF evaluation for people with sexual boundary issues, substance issues. I would. The rest of the board can express their opinion, but I do think that's an important component. I guess failing voting down this order, which I don't recommend, we will get to talk to this gentleman again when he comes to have his probation lifted. And perhaps that would be, it's not a perfect solution, but that may be a time we can speak to him about his issues and perhaps remediation. Just my thoughts.
A question that I would have to the attorneys: when you're doing a mere reprimand, it's the original infraction has happened in another state, and we are just mirroring that discipline. I would think it would be very hard to get somebody to agree to more than what the original state had done, but I don't know. That's a question for the attorneys that do that. You're, discipline, where that happened.
Yeah,
I think that may be true, but it's also going to be a function of how important the job that you have in this state is.
Ms. Morgan, is this, and then Dr. Lloyd, Ms. Morgan, is this respondent going to have to appear before the board again?
Yes, in order to, when he petitions you for an order of compliance, it says that he must appear before you unless Dr. Saunders waives it. So that's going to require him to come to you in person to ask for the restriction, the probationary restriction to be lifted from his license.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to break in here. We're talking about Dr. Grothey still?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, he's reprimanded, so he won't be appearing. So,
no.
Yeah, to Dr. Handorf's point, you won't see this gentleman again.
Thank you,
I'm sorry, I got confused as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we're kind of stuck at where we are right now, is that this is the way we have a motion to approve it, and it's been seconded. We're still having discussion on there. I did want to let everyone know that Dr. Hale has joined us. Dr. Hale, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us. Are you able to hear us well? Could you turn your microphone off and make sure we can hear you?
I'm here.
Thank you. Good deal. I appreciate it. Dr. Lloyd.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Johnson. I want to speak to what Dr. Christensen just brought up, and I've heard this board on numerous occasions say just because one state does it doesn't mean we have to. And I know it wasn't in regard to a disciplinary measure, but it's certainly in regard to other things. My concern here is, and I've done this for a little while, I'm not in Mike Barron's position, but I have been involved in the program for a good bit. When you have things like this happen, particularly with that power difference, like a mentor-mentee, professor, med student, those type of things, I get really worried. the things that I see before our board, we had a case like this at our last meeting of a physician and a power structure with a patient and prescriptions. And so I would really challenge anybody, that brought up, well, we can't do it because Minnesota didn't do it. I certainly wouldn't want to be a reciprocal state that, that took that attitude towards somebody that had maybe something that we see on a national scale, like Dr. Nasser. I think we get to we get to interpret things independently of Minnesota when we see actions. And that's my concern here. I would hate that we just shut it off because Minnesota or Kentucky or whoever didn't do it, and whenever we have reason for concern. So I couldn't agree more with Dr. Handorf. Thanks, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. Our question again would be for Ms. Morgan and Ms. Bakashavitz. Are we statutory or rule bound to mirror the states so we can go up or down? Is that correct?
Yes, you don't have to take any discipline at all. In fact, you've done that in out-of-state orders before. You've decided not to take disciplinary action. So you can choose to mirror their discipline. In essence, that is essentially deferring to the state where it occurred. And of course, they would probably have more background information than what we would obtain, because what we have is just the order memorializing their discipline. Or you can take additional discipline. Or that's discipline in addition to what they've taken. So you can, there's a broad spectrum, just as there is with any other order. And so I just want to say that for the record.
All right, thank you. Well, I think probably, as has been said, that this order can stand as it is, but it's always helpful for the Office of General Counsel to, have a pulse on what the board thinks is considerable. And as Dr. Lloyd and Hendorf and Christian aptly pointed out, and the others too, but sure would do the same thing. When you have a sexual boundary issue, I think probably the respondent needs to have some sort of, formal evaluation, with the TMF or something similar to that before we clear their license, I guess. And if anybody feels differently, I just think that's good information that we need to pass along to our OGC staff from now on. Does anybody have any other comments about that? Ms. Bakashavitz, you have your hand up.
Thank you. I would just like to thank the board members for the discussion on these consent orders, as it does give us some instruction and a feel for what the board would like to see when we negotiate these orders. And again, I think we discussed yesterday just the case review process, and having a board member come to our case reviews is also invaluable to us, simply because we talk about the disciplinary parameters when we look at cases during case review. And so getting a feel for what the board would like to see us negotiate is extremely helpful. So again, just thank you for the discussion, and it is duly noted. The comments about TMF evaluations in certain cases of sexual issues and substance abuse issues, it is duly noted, and we will try to incorporate that in our future orders.
Thank you, and I appreciate you again mentioning
Dr. Johnson, I think you're muted or something's going on with your sound.
Hold on just a minute. Oh. There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. My headset just went dead. I was just thanking Ms. Bakashavitz for bringing that up, that we've had board members attend these case reviews and how important it is. And I'm thankful to Dr. Handorf, Christensen, Mr. Ellis, and then Dr. Miller. I believe you're going to try and do the one this Friday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, and so I'm hopeful that the remainder will be able to find time in their schedule to do this remotely. All right, so we need to vote on this. Is there any other discussion? I don't see anybody's hands up or waving. So Ms. Barnes, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Dr. Blake.
Aye.
Dr. Handorf.
Yes.
Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Beckford.
Yes.
Dr. Christensen.
Yes.
Dr. Lloyd.
Aye.
Mr. Ellis.
Aye.
Ms. Cole.
Aye.
Dr. Hale, I see you have joined. Are you voting on this matter?
I'm going to abstain.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
board
so
members.
much.
Have a great day.